at least, the patent has played a great role in bringing the innovation to the society. So is my voice is audible to everyone? Jatin bhai, I think is
Yeah,
everything is okay?
we I think we all able to hear you all.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
So yeah, so before jumping into directly to my presentation, I would like to wish everyone best wishes on the World Intellectual Property Day. And may the entire year would be a great year for all of you. So coming back to our presentation topic, the role of patent. So uh, please understand the foundation of patent system, why the patent came into existence. The patent, before the patent system, everywhere in the world people were innovating something, but it was not coming to the world. It was not bringing to the forefront. And somebody has invented something in Germany, somebody has invented something in Italy, somebody has invented something in India. And it is, you know sometimes it may happen that people end up reinventing the same thing because they were not knowing what is already there. So we need to have some platform where all the scientists of the world should know that what is the current level of the technology which they are working in. And second objective was to protect the inventor's right, you know and telling them that you please come forward, disclose your invention, and against that the sovereign authority will give you a right for certain period, that don't worry, nobody would be able to use your personalized or your invented technology will not be used without your consent. So it's a sort of quid pro quo between inventor and sovereign authority. So that's what the patent system is all about. And that's why you see that first desktop or first one room computer came about maybe 30-40 years ago, ever since the human existence. And from that one room computer, we are now reaching to palm top, and we have a conference in the Zoom, and even in today's pandemic situation, we can talk to each other very freely as if we are sitting across. So this innovation cannot happen without a patent system. Patent system has assured scientists that before they are actually entering into any project, if they go through few of the patents of that field, for example, if somebody is working on automated gearbox system, I would refrain to give pharmaceutical examples. I have plenty of pharmaceutical examples, but let's come to, if somebody wants to come up with an automated gearbox system, what he or she supposed to do is just screen through some of the patents, or maybe few of the patents which are there in last 2-3 years. So they will come to know that what is the current level of the technology which is there, and then they will go one step further and put an incremental invention or add some value into existing level of technology. They can understand the problems, they can understand what are the current problems, what are the gaps. So this is why the patent system is very, very important. And that is why we have seen, at least in last 20 years, you take the field from pharmaceuticals, from paracetamol to now we are into genome CRISPR technology, where just by altering the genome we are now planning to cure the disease. This journey could not have been conquered without fantastic patent system. Because from the technology field, the book can be published maybe 5, 6, 7 years from the date of invention, but the patent will be published 18 months after the date of filing. So whenever you are screening the patents, it's roughly a less than maybe 3 years old technology which you are seeing, and each patent is written like a PhD thesis. So once you read through the patent, you will actually going through the journey of technological evolution in that particular field, whether it is a mobile interface, whether it is a laptop making, whether it is a screen of smartphone technology. So whether it is automated gearbox system, or whether it is a process for the preparation of pharmaceutical compound. Today, if I want to, let's say, there is a drug which is currently under discussion. Unfortunately, 2 days back, now the interest is less. That is called Remdesivir. Now, if you want to check the process for the preparation of Remdesivir, Remdesivir, you can screen through some of the Gilead patent, and you will come to know that what is the current technology and what are the products, structure which are sort of in that particular antiviral segment. So this is basically, I am creating a preamble that the entire patent system, the objective of bringing out the patent system is to foster the innovation. And since last 20 years, it has got enormous success, right? So let's now move on to the second slide. 1 minute, I will just. So this is just a legal disclaimer. Since we have more than 250, to probably we'll soon, very soon we'll reach to 300. Normally, when I present, I used to interact, because I normally don't give a one-way lecture throughout my entire these things. But this is a pandemic situation. We are in a once in a while kind of scenario. So in this particular lecture, I'll be speaking, and then wherever you have a questions, please write down. We have a very professional conductor. Anjula madam is there. I think Samir is there. So in the end of the session, we will have a question answer. So right now I will be speaking through the entire maybe about 30-35 minutes. Okay. So this is a legal disclaimer. Whatever I'm presenting, these are all purely my thoughts. And these are some of the breathtaking inventions which has completely changed our day-to-day life. And they have, like, there is a drug called cancer drug called imatinib, which is now earlier used to be treating only prostate cancer, but now it is used in plenty of other cancers as well. And this is basically, this particular innovation has come from a place where people used to drink a water and they used to get cured. So the scientist was worried that why this particular water is getting that kind of a compound. So then they realized that the water is now flowing through some leaves, and those leaves has a particular kind of a compound, and then they extracted the chemicals from the leaf, and that's how the invention of imatinib, famous Novartis compound, which has also created some big landmark judgments in India. That is there. iPhone, we all know, it's now almost like a necessary. iPhone means it is all smartphone. It's not necessarily Apple, but iPhone. I'm just writing because I'm mentioning many of the patents which has changed the world, and iPhone has some fantastic, innovation revolutions. Motorized exoskeleton, it's a robotic invention, so it has got phenomenal revolution in robotic technology. Drone, we all know, nowadays, even in today's pandemic situation, drone is used to check whether the area is fully quarantined, whether people are moving or not. 3D printer, bionic eye, GPS system, and CRISPR gene editing technology, which is going to be the future. And I'm, mark my words, probably 15 to 20 years post, we will have biotech drugs where, we will have to take only one drug and the disease will be cured. You will not have a recurring treatment, daily one drug or daily one tablets, capsules. So we are slowly moving into that future. So these are some of the inventions which has changed phenomenal, and we used to call it disruptive technology. So it has disrupted the way in which we live, so it has completely changed our daily lifestyle, and it has impacted a lot. There are plenty of other inventions. Tuberculosis drug is one of them, but I'm not going into the details. So today I thought, it's a it's a auspicious day, and this is just a forum to discuss something or celebrate, the intellectual property. So this is kind of a general way in which we will discuss that how the patent has impacted the innovation. So I thought, I will discuss with you some of these topics, like basics of patent, role of patent in innovation, benefits of patent for innovation, and how we can use patent as a strategy. I started my career probably in 1998, and I still remember in 1998, patent department used to be a documentation cell. We used to sit right at the corner, where people sometimes may come, sometimes may not come. But today in 2020, we are being called at least once in 4 board meetings. So from that corner, we are now getting into the boardroom, precisely because of the strategic use of the patent in revenue generation. So that is the impact the patent has, on an organizational balance sheet, on a research field, on a daily life of every human being. So this is just a common definition, a general definition. Since I've been told that many of the audience are, they may be beginning their journey in the intellectual property field. Some of them are, mediators, some of them are advanced. So I would learn from them. Rather, we all learn from them. So I thought, we will start from the beginning and then gradually move to the advance. So the patent is one of the intellectual property. Intellectual property in the morning, it has been taught very well by my fellow colleagues who has imparted that it is one of the intellectual property, and intellectual property rights are very important. I always say that, if you have a jewelry, you know how to protect. If you have a land, you know how to protect. So every intellectual property, or every property rather, has some different way of protection. Patent is an intellectual property. So first and foremost, you have to identify that in which area you are working and what is the ideal protection for there. For example, Dettol can be ideally protected through trademark, because Dettol is a long lasting brand. Patent has a 20 years life, but if Dettol wants to stay as a brand, trademark. It's not only the technology of Dettol which can be patented, but the name Dettol should be protected as a trademark. So as a professional, you need to know that what kind of the intellectual property which is right protection for your invention. And that's why, firm like Mr. Trivedi's firm, Jatin Trivedi, Gopi Madam, and others, all IP experts will help. And that's how, the IP field is now grown, that we need to have guidance from the expert that how I can utilize, or I can protect my invention. So patent is basically a legal right, and it's as I told you, it's a quid pro quo. It's a give and take between the inventor and government sovereign authority, that patentee or applicant will come forward and disclose its entire innovation, its invention, and if it is found patentable. So there are criteria of patents: novelty, non-obviousness, utility, etc., etc. So if they found the invention is patentable and if the patent is granted, then 20 years monopoly rights is given. In some instances, it can be extended. So it's kind of an intellectual property wherein the limited period right is given, and mainly all the technological part is being protected through patent. Now, there are certain important things which everyone should remember. Patent is a negative right. Patent, you should not, uh, you know, uh, patent is not, if I have a patent, that doesn't mean I can sell. That's the wrong myth which people are carrying. If I have a granted patent on my technology, and if I can prove that somebody is using my technology, somebody is breaching my intellectual property, then I can stop them. So it's a negative in that sense. So if you have a technology, then a non-infringement analysis should be done on your technology in order to see that whether you are, if you have a granted patent, that doesn't mean that you are not infringing somebody else's right. That is quite possible, because patent is granted on your claims, right? So you have a defined intellectual property. So there is a possibility that you may have a granted patent and you may end up breaching somebody else's intellectual property. So patent is a negative right. You can stop others, and nobody can probably make, sell, use, and offer without your consent. Second important myth is there is nothing like worldwide patent. People are misguided, or people have themselves misunderstood. Nobody can teach this, but this is a misunderstanding. I have come across many of our scientists, many of my students. They said that there is a WO patent is a worldwide patent. There is no worldwide patent. WO is a PCT authority. It only helps you in simplifying uh, the patent system. It helps you, it gives you 30 additional months in order to evaluate your invention, that whether your invention is worth protecting worldwide, like worldwide in the sense in the countries where you want to protect. So there is no worldwide patent. It's a territorial. Indian patent can be enforced only in India. It cannot enforced in Japan. Japanese patent can only be enforced in Japan. So it's very, very, that's why we always do target market infringement analysis. So if you are entering into US and if you are manufacturing in India, you ideally have to do two analysis, whether manufacturing is free from infringement and selling is free from infringement in US or not. So that's how the patent field is evolving. So don't have any negative these things, that there is WO means worldwide patent. There is nothing like this. Secondly, filing a patent application for an invention, that this is precisely I've discussed with you, that filing the patent doesn't mean you are non-infringing. You have to, non-infringement is a separate exercise, patentability is a sacred exercise. So you will have to conduct both. And I always advise that you should use the expert, the field expert. If you are an organization, if you have your own patent cell, you rely on your internal patent cell. If you don't have your own patent cell, you should probably consult a lawyer, and you can get it checked, validated. So it's very important to understand that having granted patent excuse me, having a granted patent doesn't give you right to market without any infringement. So this is precisely my last point in the presentation for this particular slide, is that infringement and invalidity is a completely separate exercise. Okay. Patent as a patent is a very, very beautiful literature. So it has several ways in which it can be read. If you give it to scientists, it will find the process which they want. If you give it to lawyer, it will have a completely different analysis, that this can be this, in the example this is given, but in the claims even this is also covered. So there is a there is a difference between scientific way of looking at the patent and a legal way of looking at the patent. And similarly, when you are analyzing the patent or analyzing your invention, you should also consult your internal patent cell. Sometimes a trivial difference, in your invention may come out to be a wonderful invention. I can give you a practical example. I always give that. So some of you might have listened this example from me in my past conferences as well. And I give this example with a lot of proud, because I was part of that particular whole exercise. That in lupin, scientists used to prepare perindopril erbumin, and in order to make perindopril erbumin is a tertiary butylamine salt of perindopril. Perindopril is a cardiovascular drug, and Servier was an innovator for that particular thing. Now, when we have checked in the patent department, the scientists used to make another salt before making the final erbumin salt. They used to make the dicyclohexylamine salt of perindopril before actually making the tertiary butylamine salt. And when they make this dicyclohexylamine salt, the compound becomes more than 99.9% pure. So scientists was saying that, many processes they make this, and then this is very obvious, and isme humne kuch naya nahi kiya hai. We have not done anything. So we said, hold on, it's not your this things. Let's file a patent. So we have filed a patent for the process for the preparation of perindopril erbumin. And when the patent was published, the surveyor, the innovator, noticed that patent, and they immediately contacted Lupin that we are interested in getting the assignment of this particular patent. So, but you will have to show in our laboratory, in surveyor's laboratory, that this is actually happening, because the innovator, they themselves could not make such a pure compound. So we have, sort of assigned that patent to surveyor, and Lupin got roughly 113 crore upfront payment simply by assigning the patent, by allowing them to use that process. Two scientists from Lupin went to surveyor laboratory, they demonstrated the process, and this was a transaction which was worth 113 crore rupees for Lupin, without even marketing the product. So the product was not even launched. The product patent expiry was little late. Before that, after 18 months, patent was being sold, and this was and the amount which was recovered, which was much more than the actual product launch profit. So if they would have launched the they eventually launched the product, but by launching the product, they would not have got this much profit. The kind of money which they have got. So that's why I always give this example, and I tell them that even trivial or sometimes a significant difference which look trivial, but it end up becoming a very, very significant difference, and it can give a lot of value to your invention. So scientist is requested not to analyze the patent from that perspective. They always needs to double check with their internal patent cell or an expert lawyer. I again this is not very important from patent perspective, but since this is a World Intellectual Property Day, and there are some things which we need to be very cautious about. So I always tell that if you are working on a project which is commercially very, very attractive, or maybe attractive for the organization, or from an invention perspective, you need to preserve every communication lab notebooks, because it may end up becoming a very important proof for the patent litigation. I can give n number of examples for that, but let's not, the time is short. So I would rather give these examples in a later date. So the last point which I wanted to, or rather next point, we have another slide for that also, that patent clearance, regulatory clearance, and quality clearance are a separate exercise. Sometimes, people also, but nowadays, at least this clarity is there. But sometimes, regulatory clearance, people will, misguide it, that if it is cleared by regulatory, it is cleared by IP. That's not the case. All those departments are separate, and they function in a separate and they have domain expertise is also totally different. So that's these are some of the facts which I wanted to remember, and these facts are very important from an innovation perspective. These facts can make your innovation really patentable, and that can fetch a lot of value out of it. Let's move on to the next slide. The role of innovation. Patents are, as I've narrated, that they are the biggest source of scientific literature. I have been going into many universities since last almost 12 years now, and I always, I have also trained many of the faculties, and I always tell that nowadays the research projects which are going on, don't take research project without having a thorough research, and then identify the gaps, study the patent. If you want to do, whether it is a mechanical engineering project, whether it is a pharmaceutical project, whether it is a MSc chemistry PhD project, whatever project is there, if you want to make your project to be counted as a meaningful project, the best exercise is to study the patents of last 5-6 years in that particular field, identify the gaps and work on those gaps, and then protect your own invention. Then your research project will become much more meaningful. It will have a value, and it will also give you a good, career push. And I'm sure, and I've seen myself in several examples, for many of our scientists. So patents are the biggest source of scientific literature, and that is why the world is moving so fast. And I'm telling you, patent has more than 40% of the contribution in bringing the pace of the innovation. It is again sort of incentive to the scientist. If any scientist says that I'm working in Pfizer and I have 100 patents, the 100 patents will have a weightage, and it will be called as a very good scientist if more number of patents are granted to his name. So that is again an incentive, for a company and for a scientist both. If for any company, if there are more number of patents which are granted for that company, the scientific level of the company, it can be relatively on the higher side. There are other factors as well, which needs to be looked into, but definitely you can say that, in your investors conference also, you can say that we have so many patents granted, and you in order to make your expenditure in your research justified. So the next point is to prevent others from legally exploiting your invention. This is one of the biggest role of patent, and that's how patent has come into existence, that you can, this is basically a legal right which is given to you, that your invention is your hard work, your own creation. So nobody should enter into that, and it's very important. Again, as I've told you, it is to avoid reinventing the wheel. So if you are a scientist, before getting into any research, you need to study the prior art search well. The prior art means it also at times requires non-patent literature also to study, but patents are main, source of literature, and patent sometimes includes non-patent literature in the prior art section, in the background section. So anyway, it will be covered, but as a research scientist, your prior art search should be broad enough, to cover your entire, all the literature so far, which are written and published in your research field, your research, area. So the patent is basically avoids reinventing the wheel. It's linking creativity to wealth. I've given you several examples, particularly one example of lupin. Another example is azithromycin. Azithromycin is nowadays, it's a important medicine, because it is being told that even in coronavirus, along with hydroxychloroquine, if you give azithromycin, it gives encouraging results. I mean, again, it's not proven, but there are reports and there are papers which suggest that azithromycin is, nowadays, but it's this drug is not popular due to corona. This drug is much more earlier drug, and there is a very nice story about this, that 4 or 5 scientists have come together and form a company, and they have come out with this macrolide compound, and then they have filed the patent. So Pfizer has spotted this patent. So it's not Pfizer's invention, although azithromycin is a Pfizer's compound, Pfizer's molecule, but it is originally not a Pfizer's invention. It is invention by 4 or 5 scientists coming together, having medicinal chemistry background, and they have come out and invented this azithromycin. Later on, Pfizer spotted, and they have taken this compound in roughly about 1.2, 1.3 billion. And then later on, they've found out that Pliva has got many invention. So after some 4 or 5 years, they have purchased the entire company called Pliva. So just imagine that this is the power of intellectual property. The patented invention it could fetch value of 1.6 billion in those days. Azithromycin is about almost more than 22-year-old medicine now. So the actual invention was probably 20 years back. So the purchase of 1.2 billion was about 20 years back, and that time the value of 1.2 billion, you can imagine. And then there are several examples in our Ahmedabad also. Patent is one type of intellectual property, but trademark is another very important intellectual property. And we have got an example of Paras Pharmaceuticals. Paras Pharmaceuticals has few trademarks, few brands, which are normal talcum powder and Itchguard, and these are all normal products, but through their intensive branding and marketing strategies, they have created some beautiful trademark, and the company got sold in roughly about 36 crore, 3,600 crore. And again, it's I think some Ahmedabad or Mehsana based group. They've got huge amount of money from their trademark. So that's the value of intellectual property. So that's the role of patent in bringing the wealth to the company. Because for research, for innovation, you need to have wealth. It's a whole cycle. So you research, you create innovation, and then you create wealth from that innovation, and again you reinvest the wealth in your research and come up with some more innovation. So it's a cycle. So unless that cycle completes, you will then the invention should continue. So for invention to be continued, you need to have a continuous flow of the wealth. The next point is to promote research and development. Of course, all the research and development activities are being greatly encouraged by, and we always do in our organization. Everybody should do. So the moment you find that the idea is patentable, you go for filing the provisional application, and then you check the patentability of idea. And later on, if you found that if the idea is not patentable, it's only 4,000, 5,000 rupees gamble which you are taking. But in a way, you are basically encouraging your scientists that your idea can be patentable. Fine. I mean, after from out of 10 provisional application, you may end up going ahead with only one patent. 9 other provisional application you have to abandon. But that's how you can promote your own research and development, and you can motivate your scientists. The last and very important part is that university, and this particular model is very, very popular in the Western world, and I'm sure India, with the great leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he has already come out with fantastic programs like Make in India, and I'm sure in the coming years he will come up with a program called Innovate in India, and which will foster the public-private partnership between university and companies. So this has created great wealth in particularly in United States and some of the European countries, where universities have co-sponsored project, and then whatever patents which are created from that, which will be later on being sold or assigned, and then they are creating a lot of wealth, and they are using those wealth in increasing the infrastructure, creating more facilities, creating more environment where some of the advanced research can be taken. So that's how, I would, as an Indian professional, it's my personal dream that, like University of Oklahoma, or University of MIT, Oxford, like that, some of the Indian scientific university will also have a number of patents, and they will have collaboration with some big companies like Pfizer, Biocon, Intas, and then we will have a joint invention. And through that, we can also do some public service. If we come out with some brilliant drugs or brilliant, and it is true for every industry. Like, some of the great scientific, technological research happens, in few of the Silicon Valley universities, where there is a collaboration between IT companies and the universities. Google have a lot of collaboration with a lot of American universities, where, and from that, they've created a lot of patents. If you search many of the Google patent, I'm not saying patent search in Google, I'm saying the Google's own patent. So if you search Google's own patent, many of the patents are in collaboration with some of the fantastic universities. So that can create a lot of value, and that is where, joint patent can play a very important role. So this is the sort of technological life cycle. So you will have a basic R&D in place. Then when from an academic R&D, when you see that this particular academic research can also be applied on any of the product or any of the industry, then you can, sort of file the patent. You continue with your application, applied science, research, and then, you demonstrate at a large scale, and then through that large scale, whatever product you are manufacturing or these things, you basically take it to the market, you commercialize it, and then whatever revenue is generated, you can again plow back some of the percentage of the revenue into your basic research again, which will again bring some innovative or innovation, new inventions, and which will again result in some new products. Okay. The last part of the presentation is the strategic use of the patent. It's more or less, I think, almost 80% of the slide we have already discussed, but I will just run through point by point. It's basically to protect your valuable inventions, and it's very important, when you are investing millions of dollars, any pharmaceutical drugs, before it comes to the public, it goes through a complete drug discovery cycle. So I'm a pharmaceutical professional, so I will give you an example of, so your drug first goes through the cell, then it goes to the small species, then it goes to the rodent species, non-rodent species, non-clinical, then clinical, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and whatnot. So it roughly takes about 11 to 13 years before any drug comes to the market. And just imagine that if you come to the market and next year, if anybody copies that, your whole sort of 800 to 900 million investment and the number of years investment goes into haywire. So it's very important to protect your valuable inventions. You need to use the patent in strategically creating a wall. So there can be a strong wall, there can be a weak wall, there can be a combination of both. So that's how in pharma industry, generic and innovators, they play around. Innovators create a wall of patents, number of patents, and generic industry try to crack that. It is definitely help you in hindering the competition, It will, there are a number of ways in which you can use the intellectual property in hindering the competition. I always give example of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Although it is not related to patent, it is related to bottle design. Every 6 months, you see there will be a change in bottle design of either Coke or Pepsi. And whenever they come up with a change in bottle design, they heavily bombard with a lot of advertisement. And they always, if you see in advertisement, the bottle design will be the central in the screen, and it is bombarded. It is basically to communicate to the consumer that now this is our bottle design. So if you go into the market and if you see the anti-counterfeiting or some wrong bottles, which is maybe 6-8 months older design, the consumer will come to know that कल तो हमने ad देखा था, उसमें तो वो गोल दिखता था जिसमें बीच में ये लोगो था. But this, so you are interacting with your consumer through your intellectual property protection, in order to hinder the competition. There are several such examples which we can give. The third point is it is to augment the corporate image. Definitely nowadays, a lot of acquisitions are going, a lot of mergers are going, a lot of in-licensing and out-licensing activities are going on in all industries. It's not one, it's all. Many industries are going. So whenever these kind of activities are going, valuation of an organization can be one of the attribute is also the number of patent filed and the quality of patents which are granted for that particular organization. So that also gives a lot of corporate image. It will increase the corporate image if you have a lot of patents granted on this particular area. Any company, for example, if you are a chronic disease related research company, so if you are having a lot of patents granted in that particular area, any scientist anywhere in the world, if they will screen through, they will write Alembic, and they will write a disease name, or they will write simply a disease name, and then a lot of Alembic patent comes. They will come to know that Alembic has done a lot of research in this particular area. So when we are looking for this particular compound, why don't we at least speak to them? So it's basically communicating with the scientific fraternity without having direct contact. So it is definitely an corporate image which is created by filing the good quality patent. You can earn royalties. We have several such examples. Like people say that Steve Jobs' sons, or at least 17 sons, they will up to 17-18 years, they will continuously get the royalty in such a way that they don't have to work. So earning royalty is a continuous phenomenon. If you pass on or if you assign your quality patents to some big organization, or so you can earn royalties, you can have a bargaining power. We have several examples where we used to have a lot of collaboration with other company, but if we have a granted patent, we will say that we have a patented technology. So that is where it will give you the bargaining power. It will give you an edge. I don't know, many of you might have seen the advertisement of a Oxyrich water. Oxyrich is basically a Manekchand's water bottle, company, and Oxyrich, if you carefully analyze, it's written that it's patented technology. So one might think that pani mein kya technology ki hai? But what they have done is that they have passed on some oxygen from their water flow. So that's how they project that water bottle as an Oxyrich bottle. It's a patented, water. So you will feel, when you drink that water, you will feel energized. So that's how people differentiate their product from others. Bisleri and other companies are there since ages. So how to differentiate themselves? So this is one way and using patent as a strategic tool in differentiating from others. You may have a better bargaining power when you talk to your customer. Invest the royalties in earning back to research. We have already discussed at a length. So this is one of the most important strategic use. And universities can improve. This is again repetition. So I've spent enough time. So this is how, the patent is extremely important, and patent is, the future. It is the past, present and future of the research world. I'm not, demonizing any other intellectual property. I've given you example that trademark is equally important. Sometimes copyright is also equally important. But patent, if you are a technology-based company, you need to identify your areas of protection. And if your areas of protection includes patent, then definitely, you need to use your, patent right very effectively. Uh, and that's the end of my presentation. I have written 2 books so far. I wanted to give back. I've now completed almost 22 years of my patent journey. So I thought, some of the non-scientific beginners, they will have some understanding about patents. So I've written 2 books. One is a little general book, and one is little advanced. One is the protecting patent fundamentals, which talks about the foundation part. And then second book is understanding the global patent litigation, where an active patent litigator, they will understand the procedure of litigation in one of the most prominent jurisdictions, which includes US, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and whatnot. And then I've included landmark patent judgment, which has impacted the law. You know, so if you are interested, you are more than welcome to purchase that, and you can go through and you can give me your feedback. Again, I'm really thankful to YJ Trivedi. Jatin Bhai is a dear friend of mine, and its proficient team member Anjula Madam and Samir Bhai for giving me an opportunity to speak about this wonderful topic. And if you have any question, you are more than welcome. Over to you, Anjula Madam.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. The presentation was really insightful. In fact, the practical explanations that you have given across with each point that you showed on the slide was really, really impressive. And I'm sure the people who are attending this are taking the real benefit, because they must be really interested in a topic like this that we have taken up today. Thank you so much. And I will now be asking questions, requesting people to pose the questions. So you can just raise your hands. I see a couple of raised hands, so I'll start with one of them. Karishma Solanki, if you're there, please unmute yourself and ask a question. Karishma, are you there? All right, Karishma, are you there?
She's writing yes, ma'am, but I think we are not able to hear her voice.
Karishma, you can speak. You are unmuted now. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead with your question, please.
Ma'am, right now I'm preparing for the patent exam. So before starting with the preparation, what I have to do? That I literally don't know what to do and how to prepare for the exam. And after watching this, I really know that how important the patent and this career in patent. So I just want to know how I start my preparation for this exam. So will you please help me?
Sir, would you want to answer this question, please?
Yeah, sure. I mean, see, patent agent examination is a very techno legal part. So on one side, you need to know the patent laws. So many of the patent sections of Indian Patent Act you need to go through in depth. And secondly, you need to prepare a practical part of it. So the exam is taken in two parts. One is a theory and second is Viva. So Viva part is more like a practical application of the patent law in your day-to-day life. So for theory, you need to understand the Indian Patent Act thoroughly. You will have to go through section by section and understand, and some of the important sections you will have to deep dive into it. And then Indian Patent Office has a very good website, and I'm sure our academy is also running few courses related to patent agent examination. So you can participate in any of these courses, and they have also published some past few years paper. So that's also there on the website. So that also you can refer last few years paper, and that's how you can prepare. I mean, Jatin bhai, if you want to add anything, you are most welcome.
Okay. Should I take the next question, please? Dr. Ashok Kada Verugu, please pose your question. I'm unmuting you.
Hello, good evening, sir, Dr. Pathak. You have thrown a lot of good information for a beginner like me. I will ask a question, sir. Sir, by filing provisional application, can't we have a feeling of revealing our own finding to them?
Sir, you have to be little louder. You have to be little louder. You are not audible properly.
Sir, excuse, sir, by filing provisional application, whether we will be revealing some of the information to the authorities. That is my question.
No. See, that's why I've always requested that in order to draft the patent, you need to be very skillful, or if you are not skillful, you need to take expert advice. In drafting the provisional application, you can draft a very nice provisional application. In that application, you can only reveal the concept, but not reveal your actual, confidential step. So that is possible. That and secondly, if you are revealing your invention, then also from the date of provisional application, you are getting the protection. So from the priority date, nobody can, so anybody who is selling or manufacturing before the complete specification, then also he is infringing. So that's not a problem. So I would answer you in two parts. One is there is a possibility that you can hide out few of the critical parameters, but you need to reveal the actual inventive concept in a very general manner, and then during the complete specification, you can sort of narrate the complete specification should be filed within 1 year of the provisional application. So yes, there is a possibility.
Okay, sir. In any case, we have to reveal to the expert. If he is not, what are the?
It is advisable to go through your expert.
Thank you.
All right. I can see the hand of Mr. MD Shaifuddin. Yes, please pose your question.
Hello.
Yes, please pose your question.
Are you able to? My voice is audible, madam?
Yes, please.
Sir, your voice is completely not audible. Sir, you need to be little
Loud.
Yeah.
Pathak sab now?
No.
Now? Are you able
Yeah,
to?
go ahead little bit. I will try to answer. Yeah, go ahead.
The problem is, Pathak sab, India is granting more patents than before. It is, if you see from 2015 to 2017, in 2015 we have given only 6,000 some odd. In 2017 we have given 12,000 change. But my question is, why India is granting mostly for non-Indians? If you see in 2017, 12,387. From that one, India granted only 1,712 for Indians, remaining 10,675 for non-Indians. Just you told that only it is law is limited to law, but India is granting these patents rights to Indians more.
No, sir, there is no such discrimination. My apologize. You know, the statistics may say that, but you know, it's basically a backlog specific. You know, so Indian Patent Office picks the filing randomly. Yes, they have a problem of less examiner. They have a problem of you know, huge backlog. But I would not indulge myself in advocating or making any such statement. I would say that Indian Patent Office is fair, and they are granting the patent if the patent is satisfying the criteria. At least we have not experienced being an Indian company.
Sir, Pathak sir, because now I am audible to all people, so I am not going to pass any comments because I am practicing advocate either in High Court and Supreme Court. I know what are the things are there. My question is very straight that why we don't have many examiner to give the patent to the Indians? Our patent rights to be given to India from the beginning. If you see just 3 years, back 3 years, 2015, we have 6,000 and 2016, 8,200 and 2017, 12,000. At a time, what 80% of the patents are given to non-Indians, 80%, if I am correct, subject to correction.
Sir, we will enter into this debate on a later date. You know, perhaps Jatin Bhai wants to speak or wants to have a word on that. I would more than welcome on that. But Indian Patent Office is gradually increasing its infrastructure. See, we have come a long way, sir. You have to at least appreciate that the situation which was there 5, 7 years, 10 years back is now improving.
Yeah. I have a policy. One palace. Hello, I am muted.
Yeah.
I think.
No, you are not muted.
Not-
We can hear you.
National Intellectual Property Rights Policy in 2016 we made. From there onwards, our progress is good only. Because 2016 to 17, we can see we have been nearly more than 5,000. We are giving it. But my question is only the one, I'm not criticizing. Why non-Indians patents only given more? Sorry, if I give trouble, Pathak sir, sorry. Because
No, that's fine. But this question is very difficult for me to answer, because this is something related, maybe an ex-controller of patent or you know, somebody from a patent office can answer. But they are, at least, you know, Indian government is trying their level best to you know, improve on that aspect, and we can only hope that you know, some good news may come up and Indian Patents Office becomes much more you know, and they are already efficient. I would not we are at least very.
Pathak sir, I'm extremely sorry. I am not at all pointing out efficiency, because I don't know anything. I am learner. Although I am practicing since 15 years, I am learner. I admit it. Your lessons, your point out, your PowerPoints are given very good information. I appreciate it. Just I want to know the clarification. I am not pointing out on anyone, and this is not my aim also.
True.
So
may
thank you
we
very much.
request you
Thank
to please drop us a question, and we'll be able to take that separately off.
Sure.
Don't mind,
Sure.
sir. Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll just pick up another question from the chat that I can see. I'm not able to, just a second, I missed the question. Okay, somebody called AR has posed a question. It reads, if I patent an invention in India and someone in USA infringes the same invention, what stand should be taken in this case?
Anjula, this is the last question, because we have a 5 o'clock the other session.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay, so this is a very good question. You know, as I have mentioned during my presentation also, that patent is a territorial right. So if you want to protect your invention in US, you should have filed the patent in US when you are filing in India, or you have taken the PCT route and then later on you know, go to US. But if you have an Indian patent and if anybody infringes in US, I'm afraid you would not be able to do anything. So that's why patent is always territorial. So when you are doing your research, you should know the target market, because although the product may come 7-8 years later, but at the time of filing the patent, or probably within 30 months, you need to identify your target market and you need to protect your invention in target market. That is very important. Once again, I thank you all the participants. Anjula madam, this is wonderful session. Jatin bhai, Gopi madam, and the wonderful team. So thank you all. I think Jatin bhai has clearly, given a mandate. So we need to close it here. Perhaps it's a
we
tea
have
time.
another session. No, so we have another session at 5 o'clock, the last one for the day, since we had a lot of webinars today.
Sure,
Thank you,
sure.
all the participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Alpesh
you.
sir,
Thank
it
you.
was a
Thank
fantastic
you.
presentation. And we'll take the questions and bring it across to you. Should there be any specific ones that
Absolutely. Absolutely.
answer?
I'm always there. All the best.
Yeah.
Best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you,
I'm hanging it.
participants, and thank you for all the support team as well. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a great day ahead.